How you doing, Linda?
Okay, how are you?
Good. Good to see you again. I can't see you. You got to put yourself on.
No.
Why? So you can sleep?
Yes.
Oh, come on now. You slept through the other one, Rabbi Weinberg. Be awake by now, full of vim and vigor for the Shabbos.
No, you're supposed to rest on Shabbos.
It hasn't started yet, so you should be up. It's all right. I'll try to remember you again. Well, you have a good Shabbos now.
Thank you. Oh, Rabbi Bergen's on.
Oh, God. The cheese man, Rabbi Cheeseburger, or Rabbi Birdie Cheese. Birdie
Why?
Cheese. That sounds pretty good. Burger Cheese. Rabbi Burger Cheese. Truman.
Unmute.
He doesn't want to talk to us.
Unmute. Shabbat
He has to
Shalom.
wake up. He has to wake up first. Shabbat Shalom.
How are you?
Tired, run down, anemic, lots of pep and energy. Other than that, not bad. And you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Activity keeps me going, and I had Shabbat services at Shenley Gardens, and preached on the curse of Ham and how devastating that was to a whole group of people. And tomorrow I'll be joining you guys, and Tuesday I will be giving a Devar Torah for Brotherhood. Hi, Linda.
Oh, God. I mean, we'll actually see you.
Hi.
Hi, Linda.
Hey,
Who
Rabbi
is-
Bird. Rabbi Bird. That's Linda. Leave her alone.
Have I ever bothered Linda? Linda, have I ever bothered you?
No.
Okay. Jay,
Let's see you, Rabbi.
You get
You've been all these services. Let's see you now.
I'm trying to. I don't know how to resolve the issue.
We'll put some pants and a shirt on.
Oh, am I going to give you a cyber noogie for that one?
All right, I'm going to mute myself, even though Peter doesn't want me to. Hi, Peter. Good Shabbos.
Hey, good Shabbos, Jay.
Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, Peter.
How are things down south?
Down south, beautiful. Right now,
Yeah.
they're calling for rain on Sunday.
Okay.
But we're putting a new deck. We're putting a new deck up.
Oh, that's nice.
So yesterday, well, let's see, Wednesday, they started tearing it all down, and they've got a lot of it sitting in the yard.
Oh.
But they had a dumpster, and the dumpster came, they loaded it up, and they took it out. So we'll see what happens in about 2 or 3 weeks.
That's how you make progress.
Oh, God, yes. I wish I
Hey,
could
Jay,
sleep.
have you used YouTube to watch the services?
No.
Okay, because we're going to be switching to that from the Zoom at some point, probably in November.
Why?
Because of, I don't know. There's a bunch of reasons. It makes it easier to do it.
Yeah, YouTube is easier, definitely.
Are they going to? They have the Zoom things. Is that going to keep working or not?
No. Well, we're going to keep it for the rest of the month, at least for the end of October. But
Yeah, but will they
we-
switch it?
yeah, there's no final decisions been made, but at some point that's going to happen because we don't get that many people on Zoom, and you can get the same
Sure.
impact on YouTube, but that way we can't see each other. That's the advantage of Zoom.
Oh, yeah, that may solve the problem.
Why? We don't see Bert anyway. Don't see Mimsy. Don't see Linda.
Well, that's part. That's
That's part of the problem.
That's part of the
Helen
problem.
Helen
just you and
Oringer
me.
is quiet. That's right.
Yeah, I
Jay
think a lot of
Pace
people
is
don't.
quiet. They don't want to show themselves.
Yeah, well, they'd rather that. That's why YouTube might be better. You can just watch like television. But we'll see.
Right.
Good Shabbos.
Jane Pace, good Shabbos.
Hi, good Shabbos to you.
Welcome.
Take
Sydney
care.
Busis.
All right,
Good
guys.
Busis.
Let's listen to Molly.
Shabbat Shalom. So nice to be here with you tonight. If you're online, nice to be with you also. Welcome in Shabbat. We're going to begin by lighting. We're going to go back to this, what Molly is playing underneath us is Hine Matov, how wonderful it is, how lovely it is for all of us to be together. So we're going to sing this together, and then we'll light candles. Hine Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. We turn now to page 2 for the lighting of Shabbat candles.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mina. Shabbat Shalom to everyone.
We continue with Shalom Alechem, welcoming the angels that greet us on Shabbat on page 24. La, 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 Shalom Alechem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon.
This week's Torah portion is Noah. And in honor of Noah, or having this imagery in our minds, some of the music is going to be a little watery. And so the first psalm for Kabbalat Shabbat is from Psalm 95 on page 12. It's in the second paragraph towards the end, Asher lo hayam. God is in the sea. God made it. Asher lo hayam vehu asahu. Asher lo hayam vehu asahu. Continuing on page 16 with the top of the page from Psalm 98, Zamru Ladonai B'chinor, sing praises to God with all different kinds of instruments. And to finish off the Kabbalat Shabbat, we turn to Lecha Dodi on page 20. We've welcomed in the Shabbat messengers or angels, and we've welcomed in Shabbat with light, and now we welcome in the Shabbat presence with Lecha Dodi, paragraphs number 1, 2, 5, and 9. And when we get to paragraph 9, we rise and we turn towards the doorway to show our intention to welcome in Shabbat presence.
Ay, 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 Lecha Dodi.
zachor b'dibur echad, ishmi'anu el am echad, Adonai echad, Shmo echad, v'shemo tiferet v'nitila. Ay 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 lecha dodi, ay 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 likot kala, ay 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 b'nei Shabbat, ay 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 nekabela, likat Shabbat lechu b'necha, ki hi lekor habracha, merosh mikadem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavot tchilah. Ay 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 lecha dodi, ay 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 likot kala, ay 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 b'nei Shabbat, ay 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 nekabela, hitoreri, ki ba'orech u'mi'ori, uri shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayich miklah. Ay 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 lecha dodi, ay 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 likot kala, ay 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 b'nei Shabbat, ay 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 nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, gam b'simcha u'b'tola, tov emuneh tegula, boi chala, boi chala. Ay 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 lecha dodi, ay 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 likot kala, ay 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 b'nei Shabbat, ay 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 nekabela, ay 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 lecha dodi, ay 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 likot kala, ay 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 b'nei Shabbat, ay 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 nekabela. Please take a moment, since you're standing, to wish one another Shabbat Shalom. If there's someone you haven't seen or that you don't know, take an opportunity to say hello.
Good Shabbos, everybody.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Yes, Shabbat
Shabbat.
Shalom lakulam. Good to be celebrating Shabbat with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good Shabbos, David Bisno. Welcome back.
Yes.
He's muted.
Good Shabbos, Sally.
Good
to-
Shabbos.
Good
Thank you. We have a psalm for
everyone.
Shabbat,
Howard.
Psalm 92
Shalom,
on
everyone.
page
Shabbat.
22. Mizmor Shir and Sadiq Katmar.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת.
Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat. Tov l'Adonai,
וזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, באמונתה בלילות, עלי עשור, ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון
page 26, so Chetzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה יעלם הדברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בכל יכל ויום יכל וחיי זכור בישראל עגלה ועגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולמו והמיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח יתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמיר קודשה לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמו ואמרו אמן.
Please rise in body or spirit for Baruch, page 28. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, v'chochma poteach sha'arim, uvitvuna mishana itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'misader et hakochavim, v'mishmerotehem barakia kirtono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, ma'avir yom, maybe layla, Umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzavaot shemo. Achai v'kayam tamid imloch alenu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim.
Avot olam beit Yisrael amcha לעולם ועד.
You may be seated and we continue on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך
והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושננתם לבניך
ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך וברכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם.
On page 39 at the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. Together, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. We turn the page and join together in Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha, ha'elim Adonai, mi chamocha, nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, Mi chamocha, ha'elim Adonai, mi chamocha, nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai. Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai. מלכותך ראו בניך חוקי הים לפני משה ומרים זה אלי אנו ועמנו אדוני לעולם ועד Who is like you? Adonai, who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai. ונאמן כיבד אדוני את יעקב, ונאמר כיבד אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מי החזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
So it's my privilege to invite up Ellie and Mike for a blessing. Ellie and Mike will be getting married on Sunday in this room, in this space. So on Sunday night, there'll be a chuppah here. We decided to do the blessing in this place in the service because this is the part of the service, the Hashkivenu prayer, and we call it our people's nighttime prayer. We ask God to spread over us a Sukkot Shalom, a sukkah or shelter of peace. And so that's a really beautiful image, right, of being protected and cared for, and when we're most afraid and vulnerable. And one of the poems that we use There's a line here that says, let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. So I kind of wanted to take that image and talk to you a little bit about the Torah portion, which is Noah. So I hope I haven't gotten too many places, but the Torah portion is Noah, and we know that Noah builds this ark in the midst of a storm, and it protects his family. And we're not going to talk about the rest of the world right now. Just going to talk about how it protects his family and his animals. And it's a safe place in a shelter. I mean, it's a safe place in a storm. And so we wanted to do this blessing for you tonight in this place to highlight a couple of things. One is the safe place that you create for one another, a shelter for one another, not only in bad times, but also in good times and celebratory times. You two take such good care of each other. So you have that really beautiful way of sheltering each other and taking care of each other and providing a safe space for each other. Also, we hope that you'll do that in your home, continue to build a safe and gentle place to sort of navigate from, to be centered and to go out into the world from. And then also here in this building and in this community, as Ellie has really jumped in, we're waiting for you, Mike, but Ellie has really jumped in by learning Hebrew and becoming a bat mitzvah, and by being on committees or committee, maybe more than one so far. So we hope that you begin to feel that this is a safe and secure place for you. It's not only in the bad times, but also in these wonderful times of celebration. So here tonight, and then again on Sunday to celebrate your wedding, which we're really excited about. So we're going to ask the congregation to offer you a blessing. And so if everyone would turn to page 263, where it says wedding blessing, we're going to offer this blessing to you. There's lots of blessings that are going to be offered to you in the next couple of days, and I hope that you end up feeling very blessed. So if everyone will join me, source of laughter and gladness, let your presence accompany these loving companions. Pour love over them. Grant them growth, each alone and together. May health and devotion, laughter and understanding abound for them. May they have the strength to share life's sorrows. May their love deepen and flower. Open their hearts to one another, and may their hands be open to family, to friends, to our people Israel, to all humanity. So this is the line that I love so much, pour love over them. So I hope you feel this probably just maybe starting tonight, but over the whole weekend and then on Sunday, all the love that people have for you and the joy that we have to be with you as you celebrate. And so we're going to put a seal on this blessing, just so stay here, hang out here for just another moment, which is the seal of the blessing that we ask God to spread shelter over us, over Israel, and over Jerusalem, and really the world, but really tonight, and spread a shelter of peace over the two of you. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukkot shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael.
Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukkot shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael.
So how about together we all say Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov.
Mazel tov.
Mazel Tov. You're welcome. Mazel Tov. Continue now on page 45. It's a poem to get us into the tefillah. The poem itself, was written by Heschel, Abraham Joshua Heschel, and the music was written by Dan Nichols. Page 45.
A thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. A thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Adonai, Sifatai, Sifatai Tivta, Ufi, Yagid Tehilatecha. Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, U'mevi Geula livnei bneihem, Le'ma'an Shemo b'Yahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magin, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, B'chayei HaKol Atah Rav Le'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed, B'chayei HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim B'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umkayem Emunato, Ishinei Afar, Micha Mocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, Neman Atal HaChayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. At HaKadosh v'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kedoshim b'chol yom yihalalu chasela. Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
You may be seated. Continue now with the rest of the tefillah silently, and we'll meet up again for Oseh Shalom on page 62.
Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen, ve'imru amen.
Together we turn to page 253 and there find in the middle of the page the Misha Berach, our traditional prayer of healing, hope, and renewal as we prepare to share names of those members of our community and wider circle of family and friends, our locus of concern, those of whom we are aware. We're mindful that there are so many of whom we are not aware and that you may have names that you would wish to share aloud, and we'll provide that opportunity as well. This evening, as we prepare to share Misha Berach, we are mindful of Ira Altshuler, Noam Ben Aviv, Lauren Bush and Frank Carl, Lou Salenzi and Alice Elias, Rose Ferraro, Jim Goldman, Ann Fahey, Lois Foreman, John Hickson, Sam Kamen, Naum Kaplan, Lauren Cart, Natalie Klein, Susan and Ethel Kennedy, Lee Kramer, Jean Laga, Albert Lepre, Hinda Sara, Batchana Perel, Elaine Leskold, Mary Ann Linden, Ann Mallinger, Marlene Marcus, Edward Mims, Jim and Joanne Newman, Lev Podorovsky, Sally Seski, Jackie Student, Ellen Sykov, and John Spear. Marcia Stewart, Amy Vogel, Lee Willis, and Danielle Yosef Ben Chaya. Are there other names anyone wishes to share aloud from Misha Berach, please? Thank you. Coming around, please. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Please, Daniel. Thank you. We join together. The annual Torah reading cycle is like those old-time movie serials, which would continue week after week, and the stagecoach would just be going off the cliff, and then it would cut, and you'd have to come back the next week. So too, as we make our way through our annual Torah reading cycle, beginning in Genesis, which we did just a week ago, having just recently celebrated the Jewish High Holy Days, and then Simchat Torah, on which we celebrate, concluding the reading of Deuteronomy, the end of the Torah, and then immediately commence again with the beginning of Genesis. And so it was that last week we read of the creation narrative and the story of the Garden of Eden, and this week we pull up to the stories of Noah and the Ark, of which Rabbi Henry spoke, also the Tower of Babel, that famous story. It's a brief story, but is embedded in this week's Torah reading also. And then within these stories themselves are great lessons and great truths. I was first introduced to this week's Torah portion, to the portion of Noah, 40 years ago on the occasion of my bar mitzvah, and I've been thinking about this Torah portion ever since. I'll be teaching it tomorrow morning at our Torah study and talking about it tomorrow morning at our service after Molly shares with us the Torah reading itself, but I'm delighted to be able to welcome back to our pulpit our friend Jeffrey Cohen, who is a longtime member of our congregation with his wife Catherine and their daughter Kylie, and Jeffrey enjoys the position of being the executive director of Jewish Veg, or what was formerly known as the Jewish Vegetarians of North America. And if you know some of the story in this week's Torah portion, you may know that it's a curious portion in which to invite a vegetarian, indeed a vegan, to speak to us, because this is the Torah portion that ostensibly gives us permission to, following the flood, engage in carnivorous activity. And we're told that we are now permitted to eat of the animal kingdom, and so I throw it to you, Jeffrey Cohen, to share with us your insights of what we can make of our Torah reading this week.
Perfect introduction.
Good. So here's the microphone, and if you're comfortable, you can take off your mask as you speak to us.
All right, I will. I'll take you up on that. All right. All right. Oh, we go. Bye.
High tech.
Yes. No, it isn't working. Jack the power. Okay. Shabbat Shalom. It was Parshat Noach. And historically, before the pandemic, which I'm sure will come up with some acronym like the years BP, it seemed every year when Parshat Noach would come up, I would be speaking in a synagogue. somewhere in the United States or Canada. And in the back of my mind, I always thought, is this some type of cruel joke? Is this a congregation trying to play a trick on me? Because as you heard Rabbi Bisno just say, this is the exact parsha where we're first given permission to eat meat. Just to review quickly, in Genesis 1, verse 29, we're told unequivocally to eat a vegan diet, to eat the fruit of the trees and the grasses of the field. And those vegan laws were in effect for the first 1,000 years of the Torah story. It wasn't until the flood that the rules were changed and we were given permission to eat meat. So, as you might think, I'm in a very difficult position tonight. And maybe I'm not too paranoid if I think some rabbis are trying to play a trick on me. But the truth is, this particular Torah portion forms the foundation of one of the three pillars of Jewish veg, one of the three core values our organization is upholding and promoting. The first is that a plant-based diet is the ideal in Judaism. About that, there's no debate. It's in Genesis 1:29, right? We start out with instructions just to eat the plants. The second is, yes, we're given permission to eat meat, but just as a concession. Just as a concession when human beings were at their lowest spiritual state after the flood. The third pillar is that we're supposed to treat animals according to the Torah with exquisite sensitivity and compassion. Okay. So it's in this exact Torah portion, Parsha Noach, that we find the foundation for the idea that meat as a permission was given to us just as a concession. And this is what I'm talking about. There's basically four things I'd like to briefly mention about Parsha Noach. The first is that the permission to eat meat is accompanied by a curse. The curse is that the animals who were created to be our friends will now fear and dread us. If you'll recall, in Genesis 2, the animals were created to be companions for Adam, right? So if you've ever seen a t-shirt, it's a popular vegan t-shirt that has pictures of animals with the words friends, not food. That's the vision of Genesis 2. But now that we're eating meat, these same animals who were created to be our friends will fear and dread us. The second thing is this: immediately after, like one verse after we're given permission to eat meat, we see the first restriction. We cannot consume the blood. So there's two things about this. The first is this is obviously foreshadowing the kosher laws, right? This is the first hint that the kosher laws are coming. But the second thing is this: the reason specifically it says do not consume the blood of the animal, it's because in Jewish thought, in Torah thought, the blood contains the animal's soul, their neshama, their nefesh hayah. Because it says in Genesis that both animals and people are nefesh hayah, a living soul. That's number two. So, and just when going back to the kosher laws, it seems very obvious to note that when it comes to fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, there's virtually no restrictions, right, in Judaism. But when it comes to eating animals, we see restrictions immediately. This conveys that there's some moral issue, some moral problem with consuming meat in Jewish thought. The third thing is this. If you look at Genesis 9, what comes immediately after we're told not to consume the blood is the prohibition on committing murder. Now, wait a second, what's this doing there? You have to keep in mind, in the Torah, and Rabbi Jacob will back me up on this, there's no such thing as a non sequitur. No such thing as a non sequitur. If something is next to something else in the Torah, the ideas are connected. So it's not a stretch to say the consumption of meat is being linked to murder. And of course, the idea is that by killing animals for food, we're desensitizing ourselves to killing. And in fact, we are. If you look at the vegan movement, which dates back to 1944, is when the term vegan was coined. It's not a coincidence that 1944 was in the middle of World War II. The vegan movement, which started in the UK, was started and continues to be a movement about peace and nonviolence. That's supposed to sensitize us to killing and to violence. The fourth thing is this, and this is the kicker. In Genesis 9, there is something in there that's repeated 5 times. This is very unusual in the Torah, for anything to be repeated 5 times. If it's in there 5 times, it's obviously supposed to get our attention. This thing that's repeated 5 times is a covenant that God makes, not just with people, but with all of the animals. Where God says, I'm not going to destroy and flood the planet again. So this covenant, it explicitly includes animals, which means what? That the animals are objects of divine concern, not just people. So when you look at this, all this is contextualizing the permission to eat meat. This was clearly, in rabbinic thought, a concession, not what we were supposed to be doing. Just 2 other thoughts I'll leave you with. Tonight happens to be my father's yahrzeit, Edwin Cohen. So it's because of my father that I started on my vegan journey about 13 years ago. Because my dad died of heart disease when he was 52. I was 12, so it was a year before my bar mitzvah. I was determined not to go down that same path. To quote Dr. Kim Williams, who was the chairman of the Maine Association of Cardiologists in the United States, Dr. Kim Williams, himself a vegan, famously said, there's only 2 types of cardiologists. There's cardiologists who recommend vegan diets to their patients, and there's cardiologists who have not read the data, because it's incontrovertible that vegans, according to the largest nutrition studies, have much lower rates of heart disease and also cancer and diabetes too, but particularly heart disease, because there's no cholesterol in plants whatsoever, 0. So I'll leave you with a more hopeful note. If you're interested in sticking your toe in the water, this doesn't mean you need to go vegan tonight. But if you're interested in just maybe reducing your meat consumption and eating more fruits and vegetables, Jewish Veg has a free program called Plant Pathways. These postcards are on the table with the siddurim outside if you didn't get one. Plant Pathways is a free program. You'll get weekly emails with lots of resources, but more importantly, you'll be part of a community of people doing the exact same thing you're doing. So it's a support system that makes it so much easier to begin to do this transition. So with that, I think you can see why I'm actually not too nervous about giving presentations when Parshat Noach is on the calendar. Thank you for your attention. We're Jewish Veg on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and online. And I wish you Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. I'm struck whenever we speak of these matters that the concern you bring both for animals, for our own health, as well as that which moving towards a more plant-based diet will do for our planet are compelling each and every time. And insofar as we've now come through more than a year and a half of a very significant, serious health pandemic, and we're mindful that so much of the impact of that is as a result of what we consider diseases of affluence, so obesity and diabetes and the way in which we eat affecting the health outcomes that we experience. Your message is very much appreciated this Shabbat. In the pursuit of peace, we continue to go forward. So thank you so very, very much. With Molly's help, we'll return to our service as we begin to bring it to a conclusion on page 282 in our prayer books. In the center of the page, we have the text for Aleinu, for which we invite you once more, as you may be able, to rise in body or spirit. 282 in the middle of the page.
עלינו לשבח אדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום להשיבותה אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We turn together to page 294 and there find the ancient and hallowed words of our Kaddish. We pause to reflect on those whose memories bring meaning to our lives and those whose lives inspire us still. We dedicate this recitation of Kaddish to those taken from our midst but not our hearts in these most recent days and those the anniversary of whose passing we mark with Yahrzeit this week, and all those we carry in our hearts for blessing. We read aloud the names of those we have awareness of and invite you to share still other names that are meaningful and important to you this night. We remember now Judith Judy Cohen Kalaman, Freddie Fu, Howard Hanna, Earl Latterman, Jim McKenna, Natalie Newman, Lavander Payne, and Todd Rasko, Shirley Shepman, Somia Srinivasan, Norman Weisenbaum. And we remember Bertha Broff-Rosen, Bessie Bruskoff, Florence Kalaman, Edwin Cohen, Edward Elmer, Shulin Hammerstein, Dorothy Kamen, Tess Karsh, Marion Cart, Stuart Goodman, Phyllis Ginsberg, Tilly Grossman, Mildred Plack, Rochelle Rosenfeld, Roland Rosenblum, Bertram W. Roth, Mildred Rubenstein, Harold Spindell, Matthew Shepard, Audrey Strauss, Albert Burbitz, Louise Waxer, Milton Wirtzman, Herman Yamron, and we remember as well on this, the 80th anniversary of the massacre, more than 100,000 at Babi Yar in the Ukraine. Remember that massacre as well. Are there other names to share, others we remember for Yahrzeit tonight? And we dedicate this recitation to the memory of all those we carry in our hearts today. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, Bialma divra chirute v'amlich malchute, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayedechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru, Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mavarach le'olam olmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shmei d'kudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to all of us, to all of Israel, to all the world. Together we say, Amen. Please be seated. We will conclude our service in just a moment, singing together Adon Olam, the text for which is on page 321. Some words of appreciation, gratitude, and just a brief announcement or two about our schedule through Shabbat. My appreciation, Molly and to Don, and special thanks to Rabbi Henry for joining us this weekend so that we might together celebrate Ellie and Mike, your offer of your wedding blessing, the expectation of your stepping under the chuppah on Sunday. So mazel tov, and congratulations to you and your family and friends. My deep appreciation to my friend Jeffrey Cohen for the message you bring to us this evening and the insights into our Torah portion that we may not have considered before. Our Torah study will take place tomorrow morning here in the building, in the library, as well as via Zoom at 9:15. We'll be looking at
9 o'clock.
I'm sorry, 9 a.m. Thank you. 9
You don't want
a.m.
people
So
to
it
be
is. 9 a.m. Thank you. And then we'll commence our service here in the sanctuary at 10 a.m. And we'll be studying the Torah portion of Noach and reading about the story of the Tower of Babel tomorrow morning. JJ up on Sunday. What else do I need to know that's upcoming? Okay, the website, the publicity you can find. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. Many, many thanks for being here this evening. To those who have joined us online, we wish you a Shabbat Shalom as well, as we prepare to bring our service to a conclusion with Adon Olam, and thereafter, blessings over wine and challah together.
Adon Olam Hashem Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivrach Ve'et Nasav Chefzokol אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו להכבירו, בלי ראשית בלי תחתית ולא העוז והמשרה. יאללה לה 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 לה, יאללה לה 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 לה, יאללה לה 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 לה, יאללה לה 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 לה, יאללה לה 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 לה. והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצור חפלי ועת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, בידו אבטיט רוחי בעת אישן והעירה, ואם רוחי יביאתי אדוני לי ולא אירא. יאללה לה 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 לה, יאללה לה 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 לה, יאללה לה 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 לה, יאללה לה לה לה, יאללה לה 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 לה לה.
Should you wish to follow along, it's on page 5 in our prayer books, the Kiddush, blessing over wine.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילו במקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המוציא לחם מן הארץ.
If you're able, won't you rise for our concluding benediction? Then we invite you to make your way from here to take your books with you and return them to the table. If you did not pick up a flyer about the Jewish Veg program, we invite you to do just that. And should you wish to, there's a Samchala, we invite you to join that as well. Yivrach Adonai v'yishmerecha, may God bless us and keep us. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka, may the light of the Divine Countenance shine upon us and through us, and in this way, may we be for one another a source of light and warmth and inspiration. Yisar Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Among the many gifts with which we have been blessed, foremost among them in this hour, foremost among them in our minds at this hour, all that we know, in company with one another, all that we can achieve together, and the many ways in which we can encourage ourselves, be better expressions of who we were created to be. In this way, may we pursue Shalom. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.